Hi guys, this is again Allan and welcome back to my channel. Today here in the Philippines, we are now on our 18th week of the quarantine and I'm praying that you guys are all healthy at home. Yesterday, I made a poll here at the community section of YouTube asking you guys which watercolor set would you want me to review for today. And by the way, thank you for all those responses and to everyone who voted. But our winner after 24 hours is no other than the 20 new colors of Van Gogh. I bought my Van Gogh tubes at Jovier from 2019 to 2020. It actually took me almost 2 years to complete this 20 color set because of availability issues. Anyway, the price last year per 10 ml tube was 143 Philippine pesos. But now it has increased to 145 Philippine pesos. So it's just a small amount of increase. 145 is almost $3 US. So I think this is still reasonably priced. This is not new to me because I have been using my Van Gogh pans and I'm very interested to trying these out, especially these are new colors. I was also fortunate to get a copy of their brochure which shows their entire color selection. Here they are indicating which are new, which are improved. And by saying improved, that means they have changed the formula. They have improved the opacity. Some 2 pigments or 3 pigments are turned to just 1 pigment. So that's an improvement in their line. They now have 72 colors and 20 of which are these 20 new colors. I did not include the 12 colors which are metallic and interference colors because as you all know, I do not use these glittery colors. Although Royal Talents, the makers of Van Gogh and Rembrandt, doesn't directly state that their Van Gogh line is inferior to Rembrandt, there are, I think, some clues that justify of Van Gogh's being student grade. One of the clues is their marketing line in their website that says, Van Gogh is the brand for the adventurous, studying artist that is always on the lookout for the best way to tell his or her story. The artist's paint Van Gogh remains as innovative and modern as Vincent van Gogh was in his time. Another clue is the color range. Rembrandt has 122 colors while Van Gogh only has 72. Well, please don't get me wrong as this is very tricky. A bigger number doesn't always mean better in quality, but a wider selection does. The more options, the better, right? And since Rembrandt has 122 colors, they have bigger pigment selection and they are able to include cobalts and cadmiums which are more expensive but are more reliable when it comes to light fastness. And although Van Gogh doesn't have cobalts and cadmiums, they have fuse and basic colors that work really fine. And since we are already talking about numbers, I can now say that Van Gogh has the biggest color selection as compared to the other student grades that I've seen. I don't know if there is any other set bigger than 72 when it comes to student grade lines. And next to Van Gogh is the Graham Bucker Academy which has 60. Next is the Daler Rowney Aquafine which has 48. Fourth is Winsor Newton Cotman which has 40. Well, that's according to the website of Cotman, but just recently I have been seeing some pan sets of Cotman containing 45 colors, so I don't know if these are fake or if there are duplicate colors. I don't know. I still need to confirm about these to the email of Winsor Newton or Cotman if they've already added some colors. Anyway, next is the Sonnet of Nevskaya Palitra which has 31. Then we have Schminka Academy and La Petite of Sennelier with 24 colors, I think. And lastly, we have the Shinhan Professional which has 30 colors. Please don't be confused about the Shinhan Professional is the lower grade next to the extra fine line. Again, this is not a number game. When you're choosing your paints, please be more mindful about the pigments used and the binders and the behavior of the paints. Now let's take a look at an individual tube. Their tubes are made out of aluminum with a plastic cap. In front, you'll find their logo, their brand name, and their tagline, the quality brand. The color name is written in 6 different languages. This number is the color code, while this box stands for the transparency rating. The plus signs are their own light fastness rating, and according to their website, 3 plus signs mean that the painting will last for more than 100 years, while 2 plus signs mean that the painting will last for 25 to 100 years. That's under to what they're saying as museum condition, which I believe means under artificial lighting. At the back, you'll find here the AP logo, so they're complying to the ASTM standard. It says here 10 ml, and they're showing here the information of the manufacturer, Royal Talents, their email, and it says here made in Netherlands. So here they are providing the pigment code. So for this color, PY129, because this is Azam Athene green yellow, so that's series 1. And here they have another light fastness rating. This is by, I think, ASTM, so that's light fastness number 2, or very good. This is actually the first time that I am seeing 2 light fastness ratings. They have their own and they have the ASTM, and it's confusing because they have here 3, so that means it's perfect or for more than 100 years, but the ASTM rating here is only number 2, or very good in light fastness, so it's confusing, but it's okay. And for our swatches and sample painting, I am using Arches 185 cold pressed cotton paper, and that's the most constant thing in my reviews. And for the brushes, I am using this time my Royal Aquarelle 2150 size 10 and my Rembrandt Royal Talents number 4 sable brush. All of these are from Jovir. And to make this video quicker, I am dotting down first our paints in our swatches, and I'm gonna be speeding this up, so if you have any questions, just comment it below. And by the way, I forgot to mention a while ago, I really love their caps because it's very effective. I got a mistake, I put neutral tint instead of Davis gray here, but it's liftable, so it's fine. So now let's do our swatches. So this is opaque white, or PW6, and as the name suggests, it's really opaque. And my water suddenly became white. So if you're looking for an opaque white, I think this really works. Next we have Buff Titanium, which uses PW6 and PBR7. And this is as opposed to Daniel Smith's version, which uses PW6:1. Next we have Transparent Yellow Medium, which uses PY128. And this is very vibrant. Next we have Indian Yellow. And by the way, I got 2 Indian Yellow tubes with me because I forgot to double check my stocks. Anyway, I'll be putting this in my Shopee store. If you want, you can get it. Next is Pyrrole Orange, which uses PO73. Next we have Carmine, which uses PR176. This is a very strong color. Next we have Rose, which uses PR122. But it looks like this PR122 is more on the opaque side. It looks like it has white. Next we have Quinacridone Purple Red, which uses PV55. Next is Quinacridone Purple Blue, which uses also PV55. Next we have Lavender, which uses 3 pigments, PB29, PV15, and PW6. I'm glad that they have included here this color because I always use this color in my skies, and this is a staple color also in my bigger palettes, say 24 color palette. Next we have Turquoise Blue, but I'm really doubting if they have put here the right pigment codes because the Turquoise Blue has PB15 and PG7, while the Turquoise Green, which is obviously more on the green side, has PB15 and PB29, and none of these two are a green pigment. So I think they have interplaced the pigment names, but these pigment information are consistent both in their website, their charts, and in their tube information, so I'm not sure. So this is like a phthalo turquoise color. So now this is a turquoise green, which obviously is greener as compared to the turquoise blue, but I'm really, I'm really suspecting there is something here because it doesn't look like it's a combination of PB15 and PB29. Next is Azam Athene Green Yellow, or PY129. In some brands this is Azo Green or Green Gold. And I also love this color because it's transparent and it's strong, but oftentimes my tubes with this color bloat. Next is Davis Gray, which uses PBK11, PG7, and PBR7. This is a beautiful warm gray, but as compared to the other Davis Grays that I have tried before, I think this is the least green. And now we go to these 4 colors, which are, I think, the highlight in these 20 new colors because they are dusk colors. They are special, and as you can see, they are mixed with PBK11, which is a granulating black color. So the first one is Dusk Yellow. PBK11 is mixed with PY128, so this is the one. But here you can see it looks like a gray color, and it reminds me of Boku Ondu's dark yellow there. Now let's go to the Dusk Green. So this is PBK11 mixed with PG7 or phthalo green. Now we have Dusk Violet. This reminds me of my favorite color from Daniel Smith, which is the Moon Glow. But I doubt this will show sparks of blue and green colors because the pigment is only PBK11 and PV23, unlike the Moon Glow, which is composed of 3 colors. Now we go to the Dusk Pink, which is composed of PV19 and PBK11. The Dusk Pink looks like Perylene Violet, especially at the mass tone, but this is really interesting. Now let's go to neutral tint, which uses PBK6 and PV19. And lastly, we have PBK11, which is a very granulating black color, the one they mixed in these colors. So now, while we are waiting for our swatches to dry, let's now proceed to our sample painting. For our sample, I've chosen to make a sunset painting and show a bit of a dusk feeling. And for the 7 colors, I have chosen Turquoise Blue, Lavender, Indian Yellow, Azam Green, Yellow, Dusk Violet, Dusk Green, and Carmine. And also, I'll be speeding this up, so if you have any questions, just drop your comments. Now our sample painting is dry, we can now peel off our tape. Now our sample painting and swatches are finally dry, we can now have a closer look. Van Gogh watercolors are no longer new to me. In fact, I've been using them for almost 4 years now, but despite the familiarity, I'm still quite surprised that they are able to arrive now with some unique colors. And these colors are the dusk colors, the dusk yellow, dusk green, dusk violet, and dusk pink. You know, the Van Gogh line is generally more on the creamy and plain side of paints. They're not very textured. But these 4 are different. They give you a different character and feeling, which I'm happy about because I love colors with very strong characters and granulation. And my favorite here is the Dusk Violet because this reminds me so much of the Moon Glow from Daniel Smith. It is my most used color. And aside from these 4, I also love the Lavender, the Davis Gray, and also I love the PY129 Azam. I'm happy that they were able to include it here. Also, I love the neutral tint and the oxide black. If you want to achieve the dusk yellow, the dusk green, dusk violet, and dusk pink, you can just buy the oxide black and buy these more basic colors, PY128, PG7, PV23, and PV19, and mix it with the PBK11, and you'll be able to achieve these 4 colors. And if I have favorites, I also have some which are not so favorite, and those are the Rose PR122. I know PR122 is usually very transparent and bright, but this one looks more on the opaque side. I don't know why. And also the transparent yellow medium is not so transparent as opposed to its name, so I'm wondering what's with this color. Maybe some extenders or what. It's intense, it's bright, as well as the rose, but these 2 colors are not transparent as expected. Also, I have a question here, Turquoise Green, which uses PB15 and PB29, but this looks like it has a viridian pigment or a green pigment or a yellow pigment, because this is even more yellow as compared to Turquoise Blue, which uses PB15 and PG7. So I think we need to confirm these pigments if they're correctly placed. When it comes to the rewettability, of course they are from tubes, so we have no problems in rewetting colors from tubes, but the colors from the pans are all okay, because the first time I reviewed Van Gogh, it was from the pans, so they're all good. They are the easiest to rewet actually. And I just love working with these, but I think if you are after the transparency, I think this is not for you, because as you can see, some of the colors that should be transparent are not. Now, when it comes to our sample painting, I am overall happy with its performance as usual, and I intentionally mixed lots of opaque colors here to see if they are gonna be muddy, but I think it's not muddy because I'm still seeing translucence in my output. And when it comes to mixing, they mixed really well, but again, the texture is more on the thick side rather than the thin side, so if you know what I mean, you can now set your preferences. And also, to check if it's chalky or not, we are gonna be using now a napkin, and we are gonna rub it here. We're not gonna use our fingers anymore because it's not foolproof, so let's do it. If we get colors, then these are chalky. If we don't, then they're not. So see, we did not get any colors, so they're not chalky. Yes, some are opaque, but they're not chalky, so I'm happy about this. And now for our favorite part, the comparison portion. Let's begin with the set of paints that are obviously less performing as compared to the Van Gogh watercolors. So let's begin with Dong A. I think it's visually obvious, as well as with Simbalayan watercolors, and much more with Best Buy watercolors, I'm sorry. And also with Mary's watercolors, with Prang watercolors, I'm sorry also, but I think it's obvious also that we vote Van Gogh. Also against Mary's watercolors, half pans, and also Faber-Castell solid watercolors, Giorgione watercolor cakes, Pebeo studio watercolors, Faber-Castell tubes, Pentel watercolors fine, and Reeves watercolors. Next are these student grade paints that perform also really well, and they can actually come very close to Van Gogh, but still I am choosing Van Gogh for the availability of the pigment codes and also for the better character and performance. Let's begin with Winsor & Newton China. Next is the Kuretake Gansai Tambi, and that is the same with the Superior Fan Palette watercolors, the Pretty Excellent watercolors, Simi Art solid watercolors, and the Superior watercolors in half pans. This next set of paints are the student grade paints that are performing closest to Van Gogh. In fact, it's really hard to choose which is best among these three, but for me, I think I will still vote for Van Gogh watercolors because of its range and rewettability, but some artists would choose these other two brands. So they are the Winsor & Newton Cotman and the Sonnet watercolors. And of course, we're not comparing these anymore against the Van Gogh 12+3 half pans. It's just a matter of pigment selection. You can also watch my review on the 12+3 half pan. I'll be putting it at the description box, and that may also help you decide. This next group are artist grade paints that are very close to the performance of Van Gogh, 20 new colors. I can actually say that they are almost equal, but I will have to decide which is better on each match. So let's begin with Masters. This is Mary's Masters watercolors. I think I'll have to go with Van Gogh because the range of colors and the availability of information is already given. Next is Lucas Aquarelle. They are actually very comparable. Lucas is considering themselves as artist grade, but I think it's obvious that the Van Gogh watercolors have, stronger colors and better character. Next is the Kokuyo Kamnin watercolors. I think visually they are very comparable, even the performance is very, very close, but this time I'll give it to Van Gogh because they have pigment code and they have proper documentation, and they also respond to my emails. So I think all of these sum up to a better craftsmanship. Next is the Prima Marketing's Tropicals. I think these are rebranded Mungyo watercolors. I think I can really choose. I think this time I'll give it a draw because they are really very comparable. But maybe for the honesty in their website and in their documentation and the information that they provided, I'd go with Van Gogh watercolors. And lastly, Paul Rubens watercolors. I think I'll go with Van Gogh because of the stronger pigments and the granulation of their colors, because I love granulations. But if you are after paints that are very cheap and good also in performance, then Paul Rubens is the one for you. Now we go to the set of paints that are all artist grade paints, and I think all of these artist grade paints are a notch higher when it comes to performance against Van Gogh watercolors. So let's start with Mugello Mission Gold class, 36 colors, Winsor Newton Professional in pans, Holbein Botanical Art, A. Galiohani watercolors, Holbein watercolors 30 colors, White Nights watercolors in tubes, White Nights in pans 36 colors, Daniel Smith sticks, Daniel Smith Ultimate Mixing Set, and the Mugello Pure Pigment Set 26 colors. These artist grade paints that I have just showed you are, I think, a lot better when it comes to the pigment load and the character of the colors, and also generally they are more transparent. And of course, this comparison will not be complete without comparing side by side our Van Gogh line against its allegedly superior brother, the Rembrandt watercolors. Visually, they are very comparable, they're all vibrant. But when you inspect the pigment used, you'll see that Rembrandt here used 3 cadmium colors, and we all know that cadmium colors are more on the opaque side, but it appears that their cadmium colors are more on the transparent side, which is preferable because cadmiums are reliable pigments and some people hate them because they are opaque, but these are not opaque at all. But here, when you compare the transparent yellow medium, it's even more opaque as compared to the cadmium yellow lemon, right? So there must be something here that we're not seeing instantly, but if you look really closely, you will see that these things matter. You'll just have to realize that these Rembrandt line are more expensive and are considered artist grade for a reason. So now, if you're gonna ask me would I recommend the 20 new colors of Van Gogh, my answer is yes. So why do I sound like I'm in a doubt? Well, generally I love Van Gogh watercolors. In fact, it's my most recommended student grade watercolors, and I love their 12+3 colors. Actually, it's on top of my list for, you know, for beginners and for those who are trying out watercolors. But why am I putting a doubt in this set? First, it's not a basic selection of colors, so it's understood that this may not work for all because you don't have all the warm and cool colors of the primary colors. So this is not gonna work as a basic set. It doesn't have an ultramarine or a cool blue because the turquoise blue here is more on the green side, so I can't really depend on this as a blue color. And also, I don't like the yellow here. I love the pigment, but there's something in this transparent yellow that doesn't make it, you know, very effective as a base yellow because it's not transparent at all. So the colors that I really commend here are the dusk colors, the oxide black, and these PY 129, the Davis gray, and the neutral tint. Why did I place pink here? It's neutral tint. So, and also the lavender. But these colors are not the basic colors. So if you are building your basic colors, then please don't choose from these colors. The rose PR 122 should actually work as a primary magenta or primary red on the cool side, but this one is also on the opaque side. So if you are building a palette from Van Gogh, you may consider choosing the colors from the 12+3, which are these, the permanent lemon yellow, azo yellow medium, Permanent Red Light, Quinacridone Rose, Ultramarine Deep, and this Cerulean Phthalo. They can actually work as a good set of primary colors. But if you already have these primary colors or this basic selection of colors and you want some spice in your work, then you can by all means try some of these colors. The colors I really recommend are the colors I mentioned earlier. If you're choosing this set, it can actually work well for some fantasy themed paintings because of its dusk colors and the violets that are, I think, suited for that subject. When it comes to performance, the usual Van Gogh, it performs really well. The colors mix well, though it's more on the thick side, so you need to adjust and set your preferences. So I think that's all for today. If you're not subscribed yet, please do subscribe to my channel to show support. Please don't forget to like and share this video. And also please don't forget to watch my World Watercolor Month uploads, which I upload every Friday. The prompt set is really challenging, so I'm really encouraging you to try it out. We still have 3 weeks, so it's okay if you are starting just now. So again, thank you for watching and see you on Friday.